So, for those of you who are, basically, if you grew up in the 90s, you may look at this watch and think, oh my god, is that thing still around? Yes, that thing is still around. But they've improved it on every level. To start with, on the outside, it is the same watch. You've got the same 4 buttons along the top here. Along the right-hand side, they are talking minute. Along the left side, they are mode and hour. Along the left-hand side, the mode button, for those of you who can see, is a recessed button. Everything else is easily tactily discernible. Now, this watch comes in a zillion different brands. This is the completely unabashed, non-tattooed, if you will, version from Altmost, who manufacture this watch. They manufactured it for Radio Shack. They manufactured it for Maxi Aids, the one with the Telltime branding. If you grew up in the 90s, speaking of Radio Shack, you may have been introduced to this watch through Radio Shack. Up here where the talking branding is right now, the Radio Shack branding would sit, and then down here is where the words talking watch would sit. Nowadays, it says Move Minutely High Quality Fashion Watch. What does that even mean? I mean, I get the high quality fashion watch thing, but Move Minutely? Really? I don't get it. You also got your typical moniker, hour report, and alarm on and off. Along the back, you have the Altmost branding, quality control, and the usual China, made in China sticker. On the Radio Shack on the Radio Shack version, this entire plate would be taken up with writing that basically said, "Custom manufactured for Radio Shack, a division of Tandy Corporation, Fort Worth, Texas, 76102." Now, I mentioned that on the inside, this is a totally different watch. You may, for those of you who can see, probably have noticed one of the improvements already, or at least I consider it an improvement. It is displaying 24-hour time. They've also changed the voice. So if I go for a time announcement by pressing the talking button.
It is 0:06.
Okay, so no bong. And if you press and hold on the talking button.
It is 0:06.
I'm holding it down and you can hear nothing. Which means they've taken away that annoying rooster. And I apologize for refocusing. The lighting is just being stupid. So they've changed a couple of things. Right now the hourly report is on. I'm going to turn it off. So the beep has changed. If you turn it back on, 5 beeps. Now why 5? Because if we go into our mode, if we press mode, for those of you who can see, you can probably see an item on the screen that says 24H. So if I hit the hour button
12.
And the minute button
24.
Now if I press the minute button again
24. 12.
So what that does is that cycles between 12 and 24-hour time. So we're going to keep it on 12-hour just to show you. So we're going to go through the rest of the settings here. So I'm going to press mode again.
Time set.
Time set. You notice it now says 12:08.
Alarm set.
Alarm set. And if you want to check the current setting, you just hit the talking button.
12 o'clock a.m.
And you press one more time. 4 beeps. Because you now have 4 separate setting modes. Now if I go for a time announcement.
It is 12:08 a.m.
So you have, again, 12 or 24-hour time. Just for the sake of just for the sake of how I like to have my time announced, I'm going to switch this back to 24.
24. Time set. Alarm set.
So you notice now, again, you've got time and alarm set, as opposed to having to worry about what beep says what. Also, with your alarm, they've added some things there, too. You turn on the alarm just the same way as you did with the classic ones, by pressing the hour key.
Alarm on. 0 o'clock.
So alarm on 12 a.m. or 0 o'clock, which is actually supposed to be 0 hours, but the programming in the watch probably limited the ability of the of them to do that. So you've got alarm, and then there's also, you probably noticed that the bell doesn't take up the whole section like it did before. That's because there's one more option. If I press the alarm on off again,
Snooze on. 0 o'clock.
snooze. So you've got snooze and you've got the standard alarm. And if I press it one more time,
Alarm off.
alarm off. So you can go through
Time set. Alarm set.
and see that this is legitimately full, 24 hours. So I'm going to cycle through.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I'm just pressing the hour button.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 0.
Okay. So this is, again, different on the inside, but same on the outside. You've still got that plastic band. You've still got the standard all black, including the buckle. Now, depending on who you get this from, the buckle may or may not be chrome. In this case, it's plastic. Now, for me personally, a little piece of trivia here. When I was young, see, I had this watch way, way, way back when I was in elementary school, okay? So I'm gonna turn the band here so you can see the holes. But if you can see all of them, there we go. So typically, I would have to punch an extra hole here where my finger is, where my index finger is, which is, for those of you who cannot see, maybe about 2 inches from the base of the watch face. Whereas on this one, it's really interesting to see how you grow over the years, because now I can put in the buckle on the second from the top notch. So it is just incredible, because I have to tell you, it's been over 20 years since I've actually had this, and I was thinking, oh my God, why is this still here? I was literally thinking that. Why is this still here? But you know what? I found it the other day for $10. I figured, you know what? I want to make a video about this. And I was half expecting it to be the classic voice, which, for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, if you search for a video regarding a simple to set talking clock by magnifying aids, and you're specifically looking for one that has a curve on the front right of the base with a big round blue button, and the video is about around 2 to 2.5 minutes. Play that video and listen to the time announcement of that particular clock. That is the voice that this watch used to come with, and it also came with a rooster alarm that everybody honestly cringed when they heard. The voice sounded like they had, I don't know who did the voice sampling for that original chip, but it was almost put it in everything, okay? And back in those days, that included pretty much everything that Radio Shack sold with their talking watches. And we're talking early to mid-90s, okay? So, that rooster was just the bane of everybody's existence. And from a practical standpoint, can you imagine expecting to be alerted for a meeting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon by a rooster crow. Okay, so you can see how ridiculous that would be. So like I said, they've eliminated the rooster, new voices you've heard, new features. The hour report, by the way, is still all 24 hours. I just wish personally, for accuracy, that they made the watch, that they put in an extra voice print so that at the hour on 24-hour time, the watch could say 0-100 hours, 100 hours, 200 hours. That's the only omission that I wish that they hadn't made. Now, these days, you can get this watch on Amazon for $10. Seriously, $10. If you want to get it from Maxi Aids, you can if you're partial to the Telltime branding. I personally would just skip it, and the reason I would skip it is because when you pay for the shipping, you end up paying about double what I paid for this one. You're looking specifically for Square Economical Talking Watch sold by Liberty Supply, and that will get you this particular model. But this is seriously a blast from the past. And I don't think it will go extinct anytime soon in the future. This thing's been around for over 2 decades, and they seem to sell a lot of them, so, I mean, I don't see, it's simple, it's cheap, it'll be interesting to see how this holds up. One last thing I wanted to point out. For those of you who remember the Radio Shack version, this speaker plate had a very interesting little trick up its sleeve. It almost always popped off, and in my case, it would pop off. I think mine popped off within about a year. So it'll be interesting to see if they've improved the build quality on this. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But that is a blast from the past, the Square Economical Talking Watch. And as you can see, it is a much improved product, so I would not hesitate to pick this up. I guess part of me was hoping that it would still have the older voice with that annoying rooster just for the sake of nostalgia, but I must say that I'm very happy with the improvements they've made. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.